Welcome once again, my friends, and thank you for stopping by to listen to an old storyteller. Today we have a story from the Bible, and the title of this story is Solomon and the Two Mothers. Two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. The one woman said, "Oh, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I gave birth to a child while she was in the house. Then, on the third day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth, and we were alone. There was no one else with us in the house. Only we two were in the house. And this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while your servant slept, and laid him at her breast, and laid her dead son at my breast. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning, and behold, he was not the child that I had borne." But the other woman said, "No, the living child is mine, the dead child is yours." The first said, "No, the dead child is yours, and the living child is mine." Thus they spoke before the king. Then the king said, "The one says, 'This is my son that is alive, and your son is dead.' And the other says, 'No, but your son is dead, and my son is the living one.' And the king said, 'Bring me a sword.' So a sword was brought before the king. And the king said, 'Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other.' Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her heart yearned for her son, 'Oh, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means put him to death.' But the other said, 'He shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him.' Then the king answered and said, 'Give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is his mother.' And all Israel heard of the judgment that the king had rendered, and they stood in awe of the king, because they perceived that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice."
We hope you enjoyed the video. Now we will have the story overview. After King David died, his son Solomon became king. Solomon offers a huge sacrifice of 1,000 sheep to the Lord because he loved the Lord and walked according to the commandments of God. After the huge sacrifice that night, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and told him to ask for anything he wanted. Solomon's dream was not like most of ours. Although he was asleep, God actually talked with him. God told Solomon to ask for anything he wanted. Solomon did not ask for selfish things, but instead he asked for wisdom so he could be a good king for the people. The Lord was pleased because Solomon was not selfish. He was thinking of the people. If Solomon had been thinking of himself, he might have asked to be allowed to live and rule a long time. He had inherited wealth from his father, but rich people often want more riches, and kings generally wish destruction upon their enemies. However, Solomon wanted what was good for his people. They needed a king wise enough to rule justly. God granted Solomon his request. Solomon judged many cases, such as the time when two women claimed that they were the mother of a baby. Solomon said he would cut the baby in half so each woman would have an equal share. To save the baby, the real mother said that the other woman could have the baby. By this, Solomon knew who the real mother was. These types of judgments and the great proverbs that Solomon wrote made him famous for his wisdom.